Nirvisheshwari Vadipashta Namo Brahmanya Devaya Brahmaneta Chandrakaya Krishna Govinda Jayatam Sarvapanga Mama Munda Patel Mansara Swaparam or Shushu Radha Vadano. Very nice. Is it no, just pronounce it. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Putale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Vipiname Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Putale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dishatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Govinda Jai Jai, Gopal Jai Jai, Govinda Jai Jai, Gopal Jai Jai, Govinda Jai Jai, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Namaste, Namaste, Namaste.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to all the devotees that are joining us virtually on our Zoom and YouTube channels. Thank you for coming to our virtual Sunday Feast program. And thank you to all the devotees and volunteers that have assembled today here in the temple room for this special occasion. Special occasion because we have with us today in person our temple president, His Grace Balabhadra Prabhu. Haribo. So this is actually the first time since the pandemic has hit, and even going back before then, that Balabhadra Prabhu, who lives in Atlanta, has been able to come here to Philadelphia. So it's a very joyous occasion for us here. And we hope that this is actually a sign of the end of the pandemic coming on the horizon. So before we hand it over to Balabhadra Prabhu, who will speak to us today from our Bhagavad-Gita presentation, we're going to do a little virtual darshan for everyone. I'll start with His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. Parama Karuna Shishi Gaur Nitai ki. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki. The most beautiful Lordship, Shri Shri Radha Sharad Bihari ki. So again, thank you all for coming today. We are now going to hear from His Grace Balabhadra Prabhu. We're going to be away enough, so you can make it. When you went outside, I gave a brief introduction to you, so there you come. But as I mentioned, Balabhadra Prabhu, he is our temple president here, and it's a very joyous occasion that he is with us here for the first time in person since the pandemic. Of course, he's been with us on many of our Zoom classes, many of our programs that we've done. He's a regular in our Srimad Bhagavatam class, as well as meeting and mentoring with many of the devotees that are here in Philadelphia. So at this time, we're going to continue with our Sunday Bhagavad-Gita study, and we will do our zoom out of this one aspect and zoom into Balabhadra Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Vardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Vardhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Vishnupada Paramam Paribrada Kachaja Stutarasata Sri Shimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad-Gita ki. O Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru, Sri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. 1 year, 3 or 4 months later, I get to see all the devotees here in ISKCON, Philadelphia. Thank you so much. Thank you for your dedication to this temple. During all these difficult times, I know it's been a struggle, having to deal with the COVID situation and not being able to come regularly, or at least in the numbers that we are accustomed to worship the deities together and worship Srila Prabhupada. But anyway, it's been a very testing or trying year, but I think we've come out on the other end even stronger. So I'm just blessed to be in your association. So please bless me, and I can serve Srila Prabhupada, not just today in this class, but whatever days Krishna allows me to have for the balance of his life, to serve Srila Prabhupada sincerely. So today, we're reading from the Bhagavad-Gita, continuing chapter 2, text 69. Very wonderful verse. So wonderful, I had to go back and do a little research on how to talk about this particular verse. It's one of those verses where you think you know it, but then when you think about it, you realize you don't know it. There's so much mystery about how the words are arranged here from Lord Krishna. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So should I just read the verse? Okay. Verse 69, chapter 2. Yanisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagarte samyami yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato mune. Translation: what is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-controlled. And the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. 269. Tell me when you got it. Okay. Purport. There are two classes of intelligent men. One is intelligent in material activities for sense gratification, and the other is introspective and awake to the cultivation of self-realization. Activities of the introspective sage or thoughtful man are night for persons materially absorbed. Materialistic persons remain asleep in such a night, due to their ignorance of self-realization. The introspective sage remains alert in the night of the materialistic men. The sage feels transcendental pleasure in the gradual advancement of spiritual culture, whereas the man in materialistic activities, being asleep to self-realization, dreams of varieties of sense pleasure, feeling sometimes happy and sometimes distressed in his sleeping condition. The introspective man is always indifferent to materialistic happiness and distress. He goes on with his self-realization activities, undisturbed by material reactions. Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam, Stapitam Yena Bhutale, Swayam Rupagadamaya, Dadate Swapadante. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So as I said, this is one of those verses that you think you know it, then you look at it again, you go, I don't know if I really understand what's being said here. So it's interesting, when I looked at a little bit of research, I found an interaction with Srila Prabhupada, because devotees were confused about this verse, what it really meant. And how does this say? What is night for all beings is the time of awakening for self-control. And the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage. Well, are we talking about the nighttime, daytime? Are we talking about something else? Is this an analogy or an example? What is this? So this devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, and this is from the Remembrances of Hari Vilas Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada, what does this verse mean? Simple, right? So what does this verse mean? If I were to ask any one of you, what does this verse mean? And you would have your answer, maybe based on the purport, based on your level of understanding. So let's see what Srila Prabhupada says in a minute here. So he quotes the verse, this devotee asking, what is night for all beings is the time of awakening for self-control, and the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage. So the devotee says, I wasn't sure if he heard me. Not sure Prabhupada heard me. And then Aravinda Prabhu, he interjected that I was asking about a verse from the Bhagavad-Gita. I read the verse again in a louder voice. Srila Prabhupada began to laugh. He says, yes, he said, this verse means that when the karmis, materialists, see us, they are laughing. So let's follow that. When the materialistic people see the devotees, they're laughing. Then he said, and when we see them, we are laughing. When we see them doing all the material activities, driving around in the fancy cars, running here and there, jumping, we laugh. Therefore, our laugh is best. They're laughing at us is okay. Ours is best. The materialists think we are wasting our time in spiritual life. Because that's part of the discussion today, right? About the spiritual life, the spiritual path, the material path. So people think we're wasting our time with this. We know they are wasting their time in material life. Therefore, our laugh is best. We get, as they say, who gets the last laugh? The devotees. Because at the end, Krishna takes the devotees back home, back to Godhead. Not only the human being, devotee in a human body. So today I was giving a Bhagavad-Gita study group, some devotees from Atlanta. So when Mataji said, Prabhu, my little parakeet died on Ekadasi. And I was playing Prabhupada's tape for the parakeet, and I used to give it Mahaprasad. The first thing I said, did you give it Prasad? Oh, yes, I gave Prasad. She said, I was wondering if he went back to Godhead. So how would you answer that? So what I said was, you gave it Prasadam, he was hearing Prabhupada. I cannot guarantee he went back to Godhead. I cannot guarantee. But guaranteed some auspicious thing is there. But the guarantee is Krishna, not me or you or institutionally we can say yes or no. Krishna can decide to take that little soul back home, back to Godhead because of your kindness, your mercy. Because you see value in Krishna conscious activities. Therefore, at these difficult times, you employ Krishna conscious solutions. That's the proof, that's the test. In times of distress, do we turn to our material capabilities, the material world around us? Sometimes you cannot avoid it. Like all of us who've taken 2 shots for COVID, right? I'm not gonna ask you to raise your hand, but we did it, why? Because we felt it could help our life so we can serve Krishna. So we took advantage of something material. There's some devotees who said, no, I'm not going to do it. Okay, no problem. Because it's material. I'll just wait for Krishna to save me. Yes, Krishna will save you, but Srila Prabhupada also took advantage of trying to stay healthy, eating nice prasadam, nice food. He always said, I hope this meets you in good health. In order to have good health, you have to make some effort. So the materialistic people, they look at us and go, these people are really, really silly. They're spending all their time putting flowers on the, like these Matajis are making flowers and putting on the deities and they're putting on these clothes. Why are you doing all this? Why do we do it? We see value. We have adjusted our value system. We value those things that satisfy who? Yeah, you can say it through your mask. I can definitely hear you. Satisfies Krishna. So everything we do is to satisfy Panchatattva. Radha Bihari, Gaur Nitai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. In Atlanta, we have Shishi Radha Madan Mohan. Just to satisfy the Lord. So the materialistic person in their sleep or sleepy condition can't see the value. So don't get mad at them. Their values have to change. Do we not value breathing? Yes or no? You can say yes. As I always say, you don't answer, you don't get prasadam, all right? It's your choice. So we value breathing, even though we don't consciously do it, unless you have one of these watches, you know, these kind of fit things, and they tell you breathe, stop, breathe, take time, breathe, reminding you. So we value breathing. That's why we allow our bodies to do it. We value eating. No one has to force you to eat necessarily, especially when it's nice prasadam like you have here at the temple. Because why do we value prasadam? A couple of reasons. One is it's healthy. But what's the most important reason? Prasadam. Krishna's blessing. It's been tasted by the Lord. So when I first came to the temple, I did not value prasadam. This might be mysterious to you because I love prasadam now. Right, Bhakti? I love your cookies, right? So when they gave me halava, I had no value system for that gooey looking stuff. I came from the projects in Atlanta, you know, this didn't look right to me. So when they gave it to me, I was polite. My mother taught me how to be polite. I said, thank you. And I walked down the street and I threw it away. Might shock you, but that's what happened. I didn't value prasadam. Now, I really value prasadam. It's very healthy, but more than that, it's helping me go back to God. Prabhupada said by what? The tongue. Vibrating Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. And the medicine, take some prasadam. Take as much as you like and be happy. Last night we were reading Leelamrita, right, Sukadeva Prabhu? And in Prabhupada, when he had a big celebration to open up the Jhansi project, his first little project, and he was arranging prasadam, he was arranging everything. And then Prabhakar, the first disciple of Prabhupada, said, Prabhupada did everything. Cooking, cleaning, everything he did. Because he valued those activities. So what will motivate us to endeavor for Krishna consciousness even more than we're already doing? We have to learn how to value. You value things based on your understanding of them. Just like if you want to buy a car, I guarantee if you're going to spend $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, you are going to do your research, right? It's called your due diligence. Otherwise, you're a rascal, you're a fool. Like they say when you're doing like some renovation work in your house or something like that, get 2 or 3 estimates because you value that money you're putting into it and you value the property that you live in. And especially if you've heard the information about the thing or even the person doing the thing, you take the time to hear. First thing is hearing. It's not just the Krishna conscious principle, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smarnam. It's the principle of life. Something you're not familiar with, you try to learn something about it. The more you learn about it, the more your confidence goes up. That's called faith. Like when I got on the plane to come here, I did a lot of research about COVID. A lot of research before I got on the plane. So when I got on the plane, I was comfortable. I had my mask on, I had my little headset listening and reading Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad-Gita, no problem. So I was not so afraid. The fear was more or less being removed because of knowledge. That's the secret in this material world. People are suffering due to ignorance. That's it. They are asleep. So how to wake them up? First, we have to wake up ourselves. Okay, everybody, wake up. We have to wake up ourselves. So we have one nice bhajan. We all know that bhajan, right? What is that bhajan? It says, wake up, wake up. Jiva jago, Jiva jago, Gora Chanda bole. Sing it. Yes. Kota nidra jao maya, Pishachira Kule. Lord Gauranga is calling. Wake up, sleeping souls. Wake up, sleeping souls. You have slept so long on the lap of the witch Maya. It's not metaphorical. You know, Maya is real, and our sleeping in ignorance is also real, but it's temporarily real. Of course, it's not eternal. This ignorance that we're experiencing is not eternal. But how long will we do that? So how long will the people of society sleep in this ignorance, running after sense gratification? Those of us who were fortunate to have come in contact with Srila Prabhupada, we were sleeping, totally asleep, maybe slightly awake, maybe a little bit of a sliver of self-realization, tiny little bit. And Prabhupada fanned that fire. So he woke us up through this process of Krishna consciousness. So I would venture to say that society, if we're waiting for society to wake up, we'll fall asleep before they wake up. It's not going to happen. There's something now in society which is very interesting. It's called W-O-K-E. Who knows what that word is? Woke. It's like awake or woke. So there's a whole philosophy and culture. It's called the woke culture. They're saying they're waking up, but what are they waking up to? Concerns about racial issues, gender issues, disparities amongst people. I'm awake to those things now, and I'm going to become active now and doing something about it because I'm awake. So devotees, we have to think about this for a second. What is nighttime, right, for all beings in their so-called woke condition, because we're not talking necessarily about the nighttime when you go to bed. There's something else going on here. That nighttime of ignorance. So they say now we're woke because we've heard something. Because in order to be inspired by what's going on in society, you have to read the newspaper, CNN, whatever, to get your information. And then when you hear it, you become woke. I can't tolerate the sufferings of others anymore. I'm woke. So devotees, we're woke. We have been awakened by Srila Prabhupada. We can't tolerate the sufferings of other persons. Pada dukkha dukhi. We have mercy for everyone. Why? Because we've been awakened to what? Our eternal constitutional position. I was totally asleep, seriously speaking. When I came in contact with this movement, I was so asleep, I thought I was doing really good. Of course, you know, being a musician and playing all these different places in Atlanta and having a little success and people saying, man, you're so good. And every time they would say that, I would go sleep even deeper in ignorance, thinking I am so good. That's ignorance. Because I am, first of all, not what you think I am. You think I am this, and whatever's coming out of this voice, you think that is me, and you're saying that is so wonderful, but you don't even know who I am. Now, if you were to say, man, you're a great spirit soul, that would be nice. People don't say that. You know, this great lady, Miss Oprah Winfrey, she has a special show. It's called Super Soul. Have you heard that? The new show is called Super Soul. But they're not talking about Paramatma. They're talking about you, my friend. You are a super soul. You are powerful. But this still is not the you. It's you, black man. You, white lady. You, Gujarati, Bengali. You are great. I know I'm great, but I'm spiritually great. Spirit soul is more powerful than the sun, practically speaking. But they don't know that. So they're still in their sleepy, ignorant condition. Lord Chaitanya said, wake up. But what does that wake up? Like sometimes in the temple, it's hard to get devotees to wake up. So we used to have a system in the old days. I'm not sure how you did in New York or how you did in Philadelphia. But if you slept too much in the morning, especially Mangal Arati, guess what you got? A nice present, a bucket of water. So you had to wake up because everyone had to get up and go to see the deities, right? Mangal Arati. Then at a certain point, you could not wait to get up. It's almost like you didn't want to go to sleep. You wanted to go see the deities. I remember when I went to get initiated in Chicago in 1974. And the first morning I saw Kishore Kishori. Who's been to Chicago Temple? You saw the beautiful deities, Kishore Kishori. So that first Mangal Arti, actually that was the second Radha Krishna deities I saw. The first Radha Krishna deities I saw in Vishnu Jana Maharaj's bus, Radha Damodar in Atlanta. But the second was in Chicago. And that morning they had on a pink outfit. I can still see it. Beautiful pink. It was like shimmering. And I was like, wow, good thing I woke up. Because I had enough woken up, whatever. I would have missed that moment. That is still with me. So when you wake up to Krishna consciousness, you stop missing those, what's that song? This magic moment. You stop missing those magic moments. But if you don't have the understanding, you can miss so many things that are happening for you. Last night I was so fortunate, Sukadeva Prabhu had a reading of the Leelamrita with some devotees. So he asked me to join. And I said, okay, I'll join for 5 minutes. And I stayed for an hour and 10 minutes. Because it was so beautiful. Hearing about Prabhupada and Jhansi and how he started. And then he talked about how he left his family, the reason why he had to leave his family. His wife took his Bhagavatam. I used to always think it was the Bhagavad-Gita that she took, but it was Bhagavatam. He said his wonderful, cherished Bhagavatam. And she went to some place at the store and they had this, weighing system. And you put something on the weighing system and whatever the equal amount, the guy would give you something, like a trade. So she ran out of tea biscuits. She was very fond of drinking tea. I don't know what a tea biscuit is, but anyway, that's what it's called. So she took the book, Prabhupada's cherished Bhagavatam, and waited and gave her some tea biscuits. And when Prabhupada came home, he was like, this is it, too much. What is this? He said, I wanted her to be Krishna conscious. I wanted my family to be Krishna conscious. So as we're hearing this, I could see on the faces of the devotees, they were like inspired to hear what Srila Prabhupada went through in order to establish the principles that we know, the 7 purposes of ISKCON, to set these things up, what he went through to get to that point, to that decision, to leave his family. And we're not advocating that anyone leave their family. Don't get it twisted, as they say nowadays. Don't get it twisted. That's not what we're saying. But Prabhupada, in order to start this, that we're all floating in the ecstasy of Srila Prabhupada's effort, in order to do this, Krishna had to do some things with Srila Prabhupada that none of us could have done. So he did all this for us. So we should be awake enough to take advantage of all the things that Srila Prabhupada has given us. Now, he's given us the ability not only to take advantage of things in this movement, but to take advantage of everything in creation. In Bhagavad-Gita, does it not say, I'm the light of the sun and the moon? Yes, Krishna says it, yes. But when we look at the light of the sun and the moon, do we always think Krishna? I don't know, maybe. I don't always. Then I remember, oh yes. Like on Gaur Purnima, did anyone see the moon on Gaur Purnima? You know, in Atlanta in the old days, we would not take prasadam until we physically saw the moon. Forget about this, look at the watch and look at the news. What time is moonrise? Nowadays, some people say, moon rises at 7:30, I'm gonna run. We had to see the moon. So there's a place in Atlanta called Six Flags. It's a really big amusement park. So the temple saw the interior. So we couldn't see the moon. It was like 8 o'clock, still couldn't see the moon, 8:15, still couldn't see the moon. So we jumped in the car, drove to the west side. We could see the moon and we came back. We saw the moon. That moon is Krishna. I'm the light of the sun and moon. How did I know that? When I was growing up as a young man in urban Atlanta, I didn't know that. The moon didn't inspire me. Maybe the moon inspired me to enjoy, sense gratification. Yeah, moonlight. Go with your girlfriend, enjoy, whatever. Or sunlight. Oh, the sun is up. Now it's time to go make money. Because I had been enlightened to the fact that if I, early to bed, early to rise, makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. I was aware of that. So I used to go to work before school, very fired up. But I had no idea that that was Krishna. So what I'm saying is that we are woke. We can see Krishna even in the ability of another person. You know how if you want to get rid of envy, this is the secret. See the ability in the other person as Krishna. Stop seeing that that's my competition. You know, we want to outdo each other. It's almost like trying to outdo Krishna, because that's Krishna manifesting through that person. But we have to hear that sufficiently. We know our lovely verse, Bhagavatam, 2nd chapter, verse number 18. Nasta praisa badresu, nityam bhagavata sevaya, bhagavatu tamasloke, bhaktir bhavati nastaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Srimad Bhagavatam and rendering service to the pure devotee. All these things that are disturbing us in the heart become practically destroyed, gradually destroyed to nil. And loving service is established as an irrevocable fact. So it's all about consistency. But might I say, we won't be consistent unless we've heard sufficiently the value of these things that we have in Krishna consciousness, because you're not going to get any support from the outside world. No one's going to come and say, Dr. Ed, man, I love the fact that you're Hare Krishna. Probably you're not going to get that outside of the circle of devotees, you know, right? But when you come around devotees, they'll say, Prabhu is so nice, your service. Prabhu is so, Mataji is so wonderful. You're making such beautiful flower garlands, so nice. Nice offering. And then you will be inspired by other devotees, because devotees are very kind. But this verse is telling us, and Srila Prabhupada just explained, we're laughing because what they're doing is wasting time. And what we're doing is building spiritual credits. Yes or no? You remember, you don't answer, you don't eat prasadam, okay? Yes or no? Yes. And that yes should inspire us. I'm not going to say inspire you, because it's like me saying you should do. Like I'm doing everything and you should do that because I told you to do it. No. This is what we all have to do. I'm learning how, after 40-something years, how to value all of you even more. I have nothing greater in my life than the friendships and the love amongst devotees. That's one of the most valuable things to me. Of course, the holy name is the most valuable thing. But the association of devotees, my godbrother in Atlanta, he's my senior, Charudeshna Prabhu. Whenever I ask him to speak, this is what he says. I just want to thank all of you for your association. You know, Chardeshna said, I just want to thank all of you. No matter, I can't get him to speak on a verse. I just want to thank all of you. Because in his situation, he's losing the physical this and that. He said, I'm just so blessed to have all of you in my life. And every time he does it, I just want to cry, because I know what sacrifice he's made. And to have that realization in the midst of what he's going through inspires me to feel the same way about all of you. How lucky I am, how lucky we are. But you have to be woke, W-O-K-E, to value these things. Otherwise, you'll start to not value or disvalue. Is that the right word? Not value, what's the other word? Devalue. We have some wordsmiths in now, no way. But you don't value the devotee association, meaning you won't take advantage of it in the proper way. How do you take advantage of the association of devotees? Haryasha, what is that verse in the Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami? The Dati, who knows that verse? The Dati Pratigrinati. Sometimes I can't remember the whole verse. Bunte. A little bit of the translation, if you don't mind. Literally.
Gift and charity, accepting gifts, revealing your divine confidence and inspiring confidentially, giving prasad and accepting prasad.
That's how you do it. It's so specific that it should give you confidence. Okay, turn right here, turn left there, go straight here, and you get there. Of course, now we have GPS, so it's a little different. So you get that confidence. Rupa Goswami said, if you just do this, 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 and that, you can develop love amongst the devotees. Third purpose of ISKCON, what did Prabhupada say? To bring the members of the society closer together. The problem is sometimes we come close together, we start fighting because we haven't done the preliminary work. The dati pratigrinanti, especially bhunte bhujayate, giving prasad, receiving prasad. Of course, revealing one's mind and listening confidentially is critically important to the association of devotees. So if we practice these things, after hearing about them, then we're understanding Bhagavad-Gita. Because Bhagavad-Gita tells us in the 18th chapter, Samo Dhammastapasaucham Shantir Arjavameva Cha Jnana Vijnanamastikam Brahma Karma Sabhavacha. Jnana Vijnana. You just read, but don't apply. Not good. Of course, reading is good, no matter what. If you don't understand, it's fine, because you're hearing the vibration. But the idea is jnana, vijnana. Now take what you heard, apply it. If Rupa Goswami says this is the way to develop loving relationships amongst devotees, then practice it. Next time you see Balabhadra, give him some prasadam. Because Rupa Goswami says it's a good thing to do, and I'll try to have a little something to give you. People ask me, why you love Jayapataka Maharaj so much? Because everywhere he goes in the world, if he comes and sees me, he says, Balabhadra, I brought you some cheesecake from Russia. I mean, I've had cheesecake from every place in the world because of him. It's amazing. Last time he came to Washington, we went to see him at the airport. Of course, he's in his sick condition. He pulled me to the side. He said, Prabhu, I'm so sorry I didn't have any cheesecake to give you. So when we got to Washington, some devotee's house, he kept talking to different people. And we sat down for prasad. He said, Prabhu, I finally got you some cheesecake. So my love for him is it's not just because of that, but the fact that he remembers means so much. Like Vishnu Gadava, who came to see me for my birthday. Was it 2 years ago, Prabhu? You came to Atlanta? It wasn't last year was COVID year, the year before. And I was so moved. And he came with the good tidings and blessings from all the devotees in Philadelphia. And I went, oh my God. And I was trying to tell my little granddaughter, who he was and what our relationship was. And she was smiling and doing kirtan with him. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. So when you invest in the relationships, if you're woke, gotta be awake, okay? Listen, gotta be awake to transcendental knowledge. Then you'll see these opportunities in front of you. I heard a wonderful definition of luck, L-U-C-K. It says, luck is when opportunity meets preparedness. You have to be prepared to be lucky. You want to be lucky? Be prepared. How do you become prepared? Nasa praisa badresu, nityam bhagavata sevaya. Two things in it. Hearing the glories of the Lord and serving the devotees of the Lord. How do you serve the devotees? Rupa Goswami just said it. And what is that verse we love so much? I have a hard time saying it. Can you say it? Vasudeva Kataruchi. San Sevaya.
He says them also. It's like I hear new verses.
He's our sloka man, right? By serving the devotees, right? One gets the affinity for hearing the messages. Because sometimes you wonder why I'm not so excited about reading anymore and blah, blah, blah. Have you served the devotees lately? Because if you serve the devotees, especially those devotees who have worked so hard to purify their hearts by service, great service is done. And by that service, you get the affinity to hear the message. And by getting that affinity, Srinivata Sakata Krishna, Punya Shavana Kirtana, Vidyantasto Yupadrani, Vidunoti Srivisitam. Krishna is in the heart. And he sees, now you're excited to hear about me. Oh, so good. Now I'll take away all that nonsense that's bothering you. Take it out. Now you can just blissfully hear my glories. That's all we should want. To blissfully hear the glories of the Lord. Not begrudgingly. Prabhupada said we have to read these books. I guess I have to read these books. No. I guess I have to chant my 16 rounds. No. But blissfully, as if your life depended on it. Does your life not depend on it? Your spiritual life does. Hearing, chanting, remembering. So if we really want to stabilize ourselves so that we can stabilize others, when you get on the airplane and then they tell you, when the mask comes down, put it on yourself first. Why do they say that? So if you have a child with you or something like that, then you'll be prepared to take care of them. So we have to inoculate ourselves with Krishna consciousness, because the job we have in front of us with the woke society, actually it's even worse now. Now that they're woke to the material body. They're getting deeper into material illusion. and we won't go into all the political stuff that flows around in the air, but we know what it is. Emphasizing this, emphasizing that, and we have compassion for that. We have sympathy for that. So we try to somehow interject Krishna consciousness. But they are awake to sense gratification. And Prabhupada says, we are laughing because we're awake, we're woke to the values, the benefits of Krishna consciousness. And so much so that we're taking advantage every opportunity we get to be in Krishna consciousness or to do something Krishna conscious, because every little thing you do in Krishna consciousness has value. Another verse in the Gita, what is Swalpam Papasya Dharmasya Trayapte Matobhaya? Even the smallest amount that you do has great value. You cannot calculate the value of 1 second of pure service to Krishna. You can actually think about that. This one moment that I have, because Srila Bhakti, Thakur says, let the past sleep, and ne'er the future dream at all. Act with times that are with thee, and progress ye shall call. Don't think too much in the future. Lately I've stopped thinking about the days ahead because it makes the day I have go too quickly. You ever notice that? I'm thinking so much about that other thing I have to do, or that thing, whether it's good or bad, that I miss this day and I look, oh my God, it's already the end of the day, and I was not even aware. So I'm slowing down and trying to relish. I won't say the word enjoy because that's a dangerous word. Be careful of that word. To relish all these moments that Krishna's giving me and all of you. Why? Because I'm waking up. I'm not totally woke yet, but I'm waking up to the great value of what Srila Prabhupada gave us. So as you meditate on what Prabhupada gave you by giving you knowledge, Om Ajnana Timirandasya, Gyanan Gyanan Salakaya, Chakshu Militamina, Tasmai Shri Gurave. He woke us up. Now we can see, when we come before the deities, now we can see better. When we come into each other's association, now we understand how to serve each other better, respect each other better. When we go out into society, as many of you have to do, you have to go to work, you have to go to school, right? But now you're online, right? She's so sweet in Atlanta. She's one of my favorite little devotees. So it's like all around us. We have to go out into this world, just like Arjuna had to go fight in the battle with 640 million people. Krishna had to wake him up. Wake up, Arjuna. Come out of this illusion. You're acting like someone who you don't even know the values of life. Anarya justam asvargya. Wake up. You're going to miss this value. In fact, at that point, Krishna was enticing him. Anarya justam asvargya, meaning that you won't go to heaven. But devotees don't want to go to heaven. But Krishna's testing him. You want to go to heaven or you want the eternal world? And finally, after he was woke, truly woke, it took until the 11th chapter pretty much to wake him up. When he saw the universal form, then he was really awake. So the 12th chapter, which is called, no, it's not called that, but it's called devotional service. Now he's woke. Now he's ready to serve. Of course, what chapter is that? 9th chapter when it says, Te sam satata yuktanam? What verse is that? Who knows? What's the number? 10th. 10th, Te sam satata yuktanam. Bhajitam. You got to get that word. Priti purvakam. Priti. Don't just be awake because somebody woke you up and said you had to do this service. Prabhu, wake up. It's time to do your service. Be really woke. Priti purvakam. With love. Then you really are awake. When you're washing that pot in the kitchen, man, your heart is under that pot because it's Krishna's pot. Oh my God, I forgot to turn my phone off. That's something different. That's my son. I'll call him back. So there's one devotee in Atlanta, such a sweet devotee. Sukadeva knows him very well. His name is Parampara Das, Srila Prabhupada disciple. You have got to see him in the kitchen with those pots. Am I correct? I have never seen so much love for a pot, cleaning it. And he won't leave it until it's really, really nicely cleaned. I think Bishop, you mentioned something about that in New York, right? It's just like, wow, look at this opportunity I have to please Guruji and Prabhupada and Krishna. Make his pot nice. So when they cook in this pot, it'll be nice for Krishna. Oh, Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan in 1976, I was fortunate to be there in that beautiful Krishna Balaram temple. And Srila Prabhupada was giving the lecture, and he's trying to explain to the devotees, including my asleep self, almost woke self, about the importance of everything you do for Krishna. So he said, you think here is Krishna on the altar. Yes, everyone goes to the altar, right? And bows down so nicely, respectfully. He said, but you don't take care of the floor because you don't realize here is Krishna. So the same effort you put here, or in the kitchen. He said, devotees are cleaning in the kitchen, they're cooking, they're cleaning, they're shopping, they're banking, they're doing whatever they do. Raising children, do it with love. Do it for Krishna. So I'll stop with that, but the point is, we're being gradually awakened. We should give thanks to Srila Prabhupada, because otherwise you would be as asleep as a materialistic people, not seeing any value. It was funny, when I first came in association with devotees, I remember one time I was shopping downtown Atlanta, because I used to love fancy clothes, okay? I was really into fancy clothes. So I'm at this one place shopping, and I had just started associating with devotees. So I knew what ching, 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 I knew what that was. Somebody's chanting Hare Krishna. So I'm down there buying my fancy clothes, trying to get my material thing more together so I look good on the stage, you know. Ching, 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 ching. Goes right by the place I'm shopping. I went, is Krishna chasing me around or what? I couldn't get away from devotees. Then I started valuing the ching, 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 ching. I wanted to be closer to it. Actually, one of the reasons I joined the movement, someone asked me recently, I said, there's a major reason why I joined, because when they asked me to join, I said, what? Join? You crazy? I'll just come to the temple, you know, give a donation and, you know, whatever, do a little service. Join? I never thought about joining. Then I thought, what am I going to do all day? I mean, just sit around. I don't know what devotees do all day, because I was working. I come, looked like they were just sitting around. I didn't value that. Then I thought, I can always go out chanting on Harinam. That was the deciding factor. I'll have something to do for the rest of my life. I can always go on Harinam. That's exciting, because I put value to that. So your Krishna consciousness will grow as you become more awake to the value of Krishna consciousness. Especially if you hear it from Srila Prabhupada, you'll get the real sense of the value of what this is that we have. It's like that story about the most valuable thing. It's not the diamond, it's the holy name. So at the end of these bhajans, Arunodaya Kirtan, and the first one is so beautiful. At the end it says, yes, Krishna nama shuddha koriya panjurao bhakti vinoda pran nama bina kichu naiko aro chora bhuvana maje. Drink the pure nectar of the holy name of Krishna and thus satisfy the soul of Bhakti Vinod. Then he says, there is nothing but the holy name within all the 14 worlds. So no matter what you're running after, there's nothing but the holy name. And we have it. Prabhupada gave it to us. He didn't charge us for the holy name. I actually would have been more into transcendental meditation than the Krishna consciousness, because I was following Maharishi. But when they asked for $75, I said, forget it. I'm not doing that. Prabhupada didn't ask for anything. He said, take the holy name. The devotees didn't ask for anything. Take the holy name. So that's our great fortune. But we have to understand the value, the great value, and the great mercy that's been bestowed upon us with this holy name. And the awareness of what it is so valuable. So I'll stop. Thank you. Any questions, comments? Yes, Prabhu.
I'm just so appreciative to be here. The joy is just so wonderful.
Wow.
The colors are right in tune with nature.
Beautiful, huh?
And after not having as much association here to be back like this, and have you and everyone here with Prabhupada looking so beautiful, I just really awoke to what we have here.
Wow.
Well, my take on that first is I get up early, try to get up early, go to bed early. So is that some import of that verse?
Yes, because we're awake when they're asleep physically. That's one thing.
Right.
But subtly, we're awake spiritually while they were asleep. So devotees place value on what? Brahma Muhurta. They don't understand Brahma Muhurta. What is that supposed to mean? You know, that early morning time. So they take a little extra sleep. Devotees are, no. That's an auspicious time for spiritual practice. Last night when we were reading Lilamrita, Prabhupada, it was describing what he did. And when he was in Jhansi, he woke up at 4 a.m, did his chanting, did his reading and writing. So we realized he didn't ask us to do anything in ISKCON that he was not already doing before he even took sannyas. This is before he took sannyas. So he already set that standard, 4 a.m. Like in the temples in the old days, there was that little handwritten sign. Everyone living in the temple must attend Mangal Arti. It was just that. So yeah, so that taking advantage of that, because now you're awoke. You've been awake so long, you understand. So sometimes we don't practice it enough. Then when we really start practicing, we feel the ecstasy of it. It's like, wow, it's what I've been looking for. It's like when you're hungry and you get some nice prasadam like tonight, you know, it's like, yeah, it's great. Anything else? Yes, Mataji. Now comes. Yes, good to see you. Thank you. Thank you.
And it's wonderful lecture. And in that one question, we devotees, we value, we know the value of devotional service, we know the value of time and everything. But when we are preaching to non-devotees, they do not value what we are teaching. So sometimes it gets lost and they will listen and then they will just carry on doing whatever they were doing. How do we emphasize this importance of the spiritual knowledge?
Yad yada chariti shrestha. Verse 21, Bhagavad-Gita, chapter 3. Yeah, whatever a great man or woman does, common men follow. Whatever standards you set by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So your actions, my one god brother, actually the devotee who brought me to the movement, Vaishnavananda, he was a bhakta, he used to always say, example is better than precept. So your example is very important. So you, in noticing that that person is not really listening yet, they're not really following yet, you set the best example you can and try to share with them as much as you possibly can. Srila Prabhupada in the beginning, he was a little bit lenient with the devotees because he knew they didn't know. So he set the nice example. He would preach about Krishna. And you have to also know the potency of just glorifying Krishna. It may look like they're not listening, and that's okay. But the holy name is penetrating in there, going in there, purifying gradually. You have to be patient with people sometimes, really patient, and gradually give them as much as they can handle. One mistake that I think some of us make is that we try to give people too much too soon. We start quoting 1,000 verses and they're going like, what? Like I remember selling books at the Atlanta airport and I would point to the Sanskrit as a selling point. I see that beautiful writing, that's an ancient language, and I show the pictures and say some nice few words to them, but never too deep. So when you're trying to bring someone to Krishna consciousness, be careful, don't push them too fast. You push them off the cliff. If you set the nice example, try to give them prasadam and share the philosophy as much as you can. You have to know your audience when you begin to speak. And equally as important, you need to have some kind of relationship with that person where they trust that you're not trying to take advantage of them. You're trying to convert me. I don't know if I want to hear this Hare Krishna stuff. They have to know that you're trying to share something valuable with them because your personal experience of Krishna consciousness is so wonderful, they want it. Quick little story, when I was doing Harinam one night, an old friend of mine from my hometown who became a drug addict, really bad drug addict. So he saw me on Harinam one night. He said, Benny, my name is Benny. Benny, I don't know what it is you have, but I want it. That made me feel so good because he knew what I was before I was a devotee. So he could see the joy in my life. He said, can I get that? How can I get that? So let people become excited about you. Another friend of mine who I sang in a group with, he's now a minister in Atlanta. He was a total alcoholic when we were together. Now he's a very successful minister. I watched one of his videos. I think I told you about that. And in the video, he's telling his congregation, my friend, Pastor Willie Wee, He's telling his congregation, we need to create more joy in this place to attract people here. That's why we don't have more people. We need to create the joy in our spirit so people will come and want to be with us. People are suffering, they need to be with us. Same thing for us. Prabhupada attracted people by his transcendental spirit. So thank you. All right, Haryashapu, real quick, because wow.
I thought that you explained so nicely the position of the introspective sage and the darkness of the materialist. That's kind of fun. And my question is that the awakening is such a strong awakening that, and there's also a prayer that I see in your book. I know so there's another prayer with Bhagavad-Gita talks about awakening from the dream. You know, the same thing from the mystical consciousness. So, well, my question is, how, you know, I'm wondering how do I really come to the point of really waking up? Because philosophically, we can explain it. And it sounds good, it feels good, but I can look at the example of so many of your God brothers who spent a certain amount of time in this movement with Prabhupada, and they changed their lives. They, to me, they became or tried to become saintly persons. But so, what is the awakening for us, for a person like me? I feel like, to some extent, we're not awake. We're sleeping. We're falling, you know. And so, I'd like you to speak.
No, you put it, and I'll say it real quickly. It's like Prabhupada explained that the most powerful sense that you have when you're asleep is not your eyes, because you're asleep. It's not your mouth. It's what? Your ears. So if you're asleep, really deeply asleep, I can stand and jump around, nothing will happen. But if I make a sound, heavy sound, you wake up out of that sleep. So he's given us that medicine, that Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And we just have to keep hearing it, because that's the first thing, Shravanam Kirtanam, Shravanam. It may take a long time because we've been in this lap of the witch of Maya so long. It's not going to happen overnight. You know, it's going to take time. Sometimes it's quick, like in the case of Jayananda Das Thakur. He was awake after a few years in the movement. Prabhupada said he went back to Godhead. Or in our case, we've been around 40-something years. Maybe we still have some struggle. It's okay. But if we have faith in the words of Srila Prabhupada, critical, that he says, if you keep doing this, you'll get this, then we just keep going. You know, and we'll get glimpses of that joy and ecstasy as we go through the process. And that will convince us. I think the last time I mentioned about that, the residents of Vrindavan, Krishna showed them the universal form in order to assure them of the destination. He revealed it to them. Okay, Donna. Thank you, Hare Krishna Prabhus. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Hare. You want to disinfect? Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Our gratitude to you, Balabhadra Prabhu, and what a special day it is for us to be able to see you in person here in Philadelphia. We hope that this is the sign again of many, many more trips back here to Philadelphia. A very inspiring class on the Bhagavad-Gita. I apologize to the online audience. We do have a time limit because we open up the temple for darshan starting at 6 o'clock. People come in and then we actually have to exit. That's the unfortunate situation we have with COVID. But a couple quick announcements before we conclude. First, I wanted to say thank you to Bhakta Andrew for the very nice appreciation of the deities. Something that's very encouraged, that when we see the deities, to notice their qualities. That was very nice. And yes, thank you to the pujaris that come and, you know, every morning dress these deities so beautifully. Hare Krishna. Also, thank you to all the volunteers that come on Sundays to make our Sunday feast continue, whether cooking the prasadam or for packing and making it available to everybody. These devotees have come for over a year now, trying to make this happen very nicely. So Hare Krishna, and thank you to all those devotees. And we also want to thank the sponsors of these feasts, because without their generous contributions, we wouldn't be able to, afford to continue to keep this up. So today we want to thank, the Sunday feast was sponsored for Kanta and Pran Sharma. It was offered on behalf of their children, and also for there were two of them, Banani Chatterjee from their children, from Joydeep and Malini. So for both of these families, I ask that we both pray and chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra one time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Couple, you want to stay connected with us? I know many of you participate in our classes on a daily and sometimes a weekly basis, but every morning at 7:50, we have our morning class, Srimad Bhagavatam. Sometimes we have Chaitanya Charitamrita or Japa. We intertwine that Wednesdays and Saturdays. But the same Zoom channel, please join us every morning. Also in the evenings, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we have Bhagavad-Gita. It's a half hour, 5 o'clock to 5:30. A nice shot of the Bhagavad-Gita to end your kind of work day. It's very uplifting. We have a very nice following. Please join that Sangha. I'm sure you will benefit from it. Also, on Thursday nights, we learn the Brahma Samhita prayers, 6:45 if you would like to join. And then 7 o'clock, we have a very special program on the life of Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Leela. How Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, has started the Hare Krishna movement, and to learn firsthand from his disciples, the accounts that they went through serving Srila Prabhupada as the Hare Krishna movement exploded and expanded throughout the world. Also, a couple of other upcoming events we have on the 21st is Ram Nomi. Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman Ki. Yeah. So at 5:30 that day, we're going to go on Harinam Sankirtan in the neighborhood. So 1 hour, we're going to go Sankirtan. Join us here at the temple. We'll leave at 5:30. We'll go down Germantown Avenue, weave our way through some of the streets of Mount Airy, East and West Mount Airy. Hopefully distribute some books and give out the mercy of Lord Ramchandra in the form of the holy name. Then we'll come back here and we're going to do a program, but we're going to do it outside on the lawn. The weather's getting nicer. More people want to come. We're limited to having it in the temple room. So we're going to have a nice program out on the lawn, lecture, kirtan. We'll pass out the prasadam, take it home. Another thing that we have coming up this Tuesday at 6:30, we have a temple report. So quarterly, we're going to be giving these temple reports so you know and stay informed with what's happening in the temple. I get asked all the time, when are we opening up? When are things getting back to normal? And there's many, many wonderful success stories, inspirational stories that you would like to hear. I'm sure you would like to learn about that have gone on during this COVID period and as we come out of it. Wonderful programs that have been started and are continuing that you may want to get involved in. We want to inform everybody of all these wonderful things that are happening. So please join us. Again, everything we have is on our Zoom channel starting at 6:30 on Tuesday. It shouldn't be very long, about half hour, 45 minutes. It'll be quick, just information to get out to our congregation and the assembly of devotees. And then lastly, the following Tuesday, April 20th. I know I'm throwing a lot at you. We're going to send this all out in our emails. If you get the newsletter, it's in the newsletter. We're going to be starting a book. We're going to be doing a book reading. It's called Our Family Business by Vaisheshika Prabhu. Vaisheshika Prabhu, he's one of the generals of Lord Chaitanya Sankirtan movement. Very inspiring devotee. And he's written this book to teach us about the history of book distribution within ISKCON. And just our focus coming up in this year is to really inspire devotees and give them the courage and understanding to go out there and distribute Srila Prabhupada's books. The history of ISKCON is based on the distribution of Srila Prabhupada's books. And we want to imbibe that this year at ISKCON of Philadelphia. And to start that, we want to really get inspired over these next couple of months before we can really go out in full and learn about some of these techniques. So We benefit, the distributor benefits, the community benefits from book distribution, and the person we distribute benefits from it. So please, if you would like to learn more about this, April 20th at 7 o'clock, we will begin that book study. All right, that's it for me. Thank you, Balabhaja Prabhu.
Thank you.
All right. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. April 21st.